Hi, this is Don Debelak. You've reached the third video in the series You Have a Product. This video deals with design, looking at your product design and your package design and double checking those designs before you go out in the marketplace, start spending a lot of money and find out that your design just doesn't have the attributes it needs to really be a successful product. Now, design is crucial. Without design, you're going to find that people just won't catch the attention, and this is especially important with your distribution channel, who really expects an inventor product to really have a lot of special attributes before they take a look at it. Remember, inventors have a much more hard time establishing credibility, showing that they're serious about the market, showing they have a chance of success than a big company who has like 8 products in their line and all of a sudden adds another line. This is one reason I like private label. It's so much easier to put your product in a existing line where it has a good fit and really get immediate sales. But the 5 goals you have for design, you have to ask yourself if you do it. One is creating a wow factor. 2, you've got to catch people's attention. 3, you got to communicate what the product is. You have to suggest why people will want to buy the product, and you explain how the product works. Now, this is a big job for a design to do because this is not going to be like QVC or a real specialty store where you always have a salesperson or somebody there to demo the product, explain how the product works, and show people exactly what it does. Most of the time, your product's got to sell itself. It's going to sit on the shelf. It's going to be sitting in a catalog. It's going to be sitting on an internet site, and people are just going to look at it. And if you can't have your design do all of these steps, what you're going to find is you're just not going to get people's attention. Now, first you want to do is rate your product. Take a look at those 5 design criteria and try to do an honest evaluation if your product passes those categories. And if you have some industry insiders or you have other people that you know who are more or less impartial, ask them if you pass the criteria. And if they, ask them which ones they don't think it passes and ask them why. Get some feedback from them. Now, a lot of people, inventors who are more well funded, use real professional designers. We use T2 Design sometimes, and they have some information on our website. But if you go to the One Stop Invention Shop and you start out with the opening page, you'll see a search box. Go to that search box and put in Shark Tank Success, and you'll get an article about T2 Design and all the products they put out. They've also had success with products that did very well on crowdfunding, and the article is about 3 or 4 inventors who they've helped and been successful. But if you didn't have the money or the inclination to use a professional designer, you might want to have your design checked over by somebody who's in the design business. Normally, this would have been very expensive, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But now what we have is we have a lot of internet sites that have freelance designers. I've got a few of them listed here. If you go to these sites, and a lot of these sites will allow you to put down, a limit of how much you're willing to spend. So you can say, well, I'll spend $400 for someone to give me a design review of my product and to make suggestions on how my product can be better. I don't think it hurts to have a couple of designers review your product. You may be missing some very easy things that could make your product really improve your product tremendously. And, when you consider that you're going to start manufacturing your product in bulk, doing marketing, going to trade shows, maybe the $500 or so that you spend to have some design review won't be very much money compared to what you're about to spend. So now I'm going to go back over these 5 topics, the 5 categories, give you a little bit more information. First thing I want to talk to you about is really the inventors need a much better design package. Distribution is the main obstacle. They're very tough. Distribution does not like adding new vendors usually. The distribution channel has products. They really want to sell companies where they can make maybe 20 to 30% of their sales based on that product. And when they have an inventor's product and they have to learn all this, learn a new company, deal with somebody who's inexperienced in marketing, Oh, they see nothing but problems, and unfortunately, a lot of inventors have acted poorly in the marketplace, which has given this negative perception of inventors. So they're tough. So you've got to actually go out there and put something together that really stands out if you want them to go ahead. Some of the reasons distribution is tough, of course, is they have doubts about your financing, production, your design, your quality. They have doubts about your credibility, your experience to run a business. So, really, I mean, this is one of the reasons we went into all these getting in industry insiders and other video series, establishing credibility, getting a beachhead. I really encourage you to go back and read see all the videos in the series going forward, preparing for sales. It really goes into all the steps that you put together to get an investor, but at the same time, it's all those same steps you can put together to really go out and convince people in the distribution channel that you're a serious player, that you're going to be successful, and then you're going to get it out into the marketplace. And I know I've been a little negative here, but I want to tell you that inventors do make it. They make it all the time. If you go back into our website and you check the inventor stories, there's about 80 stories in there that are listed as inventor stories, and you read one inventor after another. Some who start with $5,000, some who start with $250,000, but they all navigate, they all get going, they all get in the marketplace. And of those stories, 2/3 of those companies have been successful, and I'd say about 1/3 have been very successful getting a company running that's making $10 to $15 million a year in sales, and this is 15 years after the stories were written. So they had staying power. So what gives a product the wow factor? Well, people look at it and they have a sharp intake of breath. Ooh, they say this. I was in an aquarium in Albuquerque over Christmas this year, and people were staring at the fish, and it was old ho hum, and there was some really big fish in there. But all of a sudden, one of these fish opened up their mouths, and it was like really a bit, it looked like he could take in about a 20-pound fish, and the teeth were unbelievably nasty looking. And more surprising was how wide the fish could open his jaw. And everybody just went, oh, they just couldn't believe it. It was fabulous. Well, that's the kind of reaction you want people to see your product. Hey, this is really neat. Um, like when those hoverboards came out and people started going crazy over them before the fire hazard was mentioned, it was just they were cool and they were neat and people are excited about them and the product was really going places. So you want to have that. Um, and you want to recognize that you have it, and you want people to recognize you have it. Now, you can give the factor with a lot of, doesn't have to be just in the look. It can enrich your lives, it can save time, it can cut your expenses. But the best types of wow factor kinds of ones stir your emotions that really get in you involved. And when I talk about cool and how it works, cool and how it looks, the hoverboards really have that. I mean, it's really kind of neat the way they work. Although, and the young people adopt it. Older people look at it and say, oh my, I don't know if I can do that. But young people not only think they can do it, but they want to prove that they can do it. So that, the wow factor, I think everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about because you've had, products like if you see an Aston Martin driving down the highway and you turn around and look at it and you're going to say, wow, that car is impressive. Now, how do you catch people's attention? Well, color has a reason, aesthetic design, a special feature, a radically different look. Your product name can do it, and also you can have a product tie into other products that are in the marketplace that people relate to. Now, when I'm talking about catching attention, I'm talking about a designer. Now, if your product isn't catching their attention, get that product design review and see if people can come up with better ideas than you had to really make the product look sizzling. Looks is everything. I mean, later on, we're going to talk about adding features. We're going to talk about showing how the product can work and other things that you might be able to do with the designer. But first and foremost, you better have a look that catches people's attention. That'll catch the distribution channel's attention and it'll give you a much better chance to get in the marketplace. So you want to communicate what a product is. I have here a product that I worked on that's really done well for the inventor. and it's sold year after year. It's called the garlic twist. Now, if you take a look at the product, you can see there's little spikes in the bottom of the tray, and then there's corresponding spikes on the one above. And what happens is you just put some garlic in there, and you just twist it, and then the garlic is all minced up the way people like it. The other product is the garlic press, which is the old line traditional product. So the garlic press, people actually know what it is, and so they don't have to communicate what it is. But as you can see, if you look at that, you have no idea what it is. But if you look at the garlic twist, the inventor has that with garlic inside and garlic also on the side. He's got it opened up so that you can see the mincers, and it really gives a much better idea what the product is and what it's for. And also, the product's name is the garlic twist. So the inventor has really covered his bases in communicating the product, and it's got a nice, clean design, and it can go right in the dishwasher. It's very easy to clean. People who use a garlic press know it's a very difficult item to clean. So, you want to suggest to people why the product will want to buy it. Now, the look, of course, is really good. The features stand out. Now, the garlic twist, you'll notice on his package and how he had it portrayed, he shows the garlic in there, and you can actually see the little mincers. And you have the name, the garlic twist, so the twist, so you can say, oh, I just twist this, and the garlic gets, just gets minced the way it's supposed to be. Now, here his packaging also talks about easy usage, and it's very easy to use. But the inventor, you can see this inventor, he really worked hard. He gave it a clear plastic look. That was a plus. He's got the handles on his product with those little grooves in it so people can see you holding your hand and twist it. He has the name of the product. I mean, he's really done everything to give the product the design and the aesthetic feel it needs to really get ahead. Now, the bad news for you is that this inventor took 4 or 5 times to actually get it, and he took about 3 or 4 prototypes to actually work out the designs. But the fact is, this product has been on the market for 15 years. The inventor has a warehouse that ships it for him, and he just works out of his home, and he sells a lot of product every year and makes a very nice living. Now, the hug chair, first of all, this is a unique product, and actually it's taking off in the East Coast. But so the name, the hug chair, helps. The design of the chair, but the design of the chair isn't that self-explanatory. What exactly does it work? But then if you look over here, the inventor or the designer actually has a picture with one person sitting, up on the higher level, and you can immediately understand exactly how the product works. This is very good because you look at it, it's unique, it's different. Then you see the hug and the idea of, your girlfriend can sit right next to you or your boyfriend, and you're not crushing each other on their laps, but you can still be really cozy. I think that's really an excellent way to present the product, and this is really what you have to work and strive to have. So, explaining how the product works. So, the hug chair is one way. You have the chair and you have graphics. Remember on your package, remember everything you do. Pictures and visuals should say everything. You want as few um, words as possible. Now, I really dislike packages that have like this montage of like 8 or 9 pictures that show that the product, how the product works or what it does. The minute you have 8 and 9 pictures, people say, oh, this is way too complicated. You only want 2 pictures, no more than two. If you can't convey everything in 2 pictures, people are just going to think your product is just not easy to use and too complicated. Now, you saw the hug chair. They only had 2 pictures. They took care of everything. Now, this doesn't just fall out of your lap. Companies have people who work for months, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 3 months, sometimes longer, and to really work out these details and have the perfect picture. It's not always the simplest thing, and this is another reason I really recommend you kind of brainstorm with some of those freelance designers to come up and throw ideas around. Here again is the garlic twist. This is just the other picture he had on his package. He had the one and he had this one, just showing that, you know, it's obvious you put it in there. You put put the top on and twist it. Now, when is the time to really be talking about redesign of your product and redesigning the features or redesigning the look? Well, first of all, you got to look at how much money you've put into the product now, and do you have the option to make changes? So it depends on really how much you've locked into tooling and other expenses. So if you've already spent $70,000 on tooling, well, you're not going to redesign your product and until you really see that it won't sell. You're going to see if it'll sell, because going back and throwing away 70,000 on tooling isn't going to work. But you do want to go back though and maybe check the package. The package is not that expensive, and the package is what really sells the product. So maybe you should just look at the packaging design and the packaging graphics and see if they really work, and take a look at your name. So the ideal time is to be right just with you have a prototype and you kind of haven't invested in tooling, then take a look at redesign. But if you have invested in tooling, at least look at the package. You really want to hopefully you followed the advice in some of the early videos about having industry insiders, whether it's retailers, people in the distribution channel, sales reps, and others like that. I mean, there's several, if you look through the table of contents, there's several videos on networking. Um, and going forward has a very good video on networking. Go back and check that, and so you can have that and have that information. So once you get information from those industry insiders, then what you can do is you can see, you know, you want to make sure at least it has a chance. So if they all say it's not going to work, don't say, well, I want to see if it will work. You're going to have to go back and make some adjustments. You also want to recheck your design after your beachhead test. This is where you've established a little market test. You've sold some products under very favorable conditions, and now you want to go back and see what kind of things people said, what didn't they understand, just what was their reaction, and what products went well with your product, and what product of the stores or the however you were selling your beachhead did the product sell? Did it sell in this section of the store where it was with kitchen gadgets, or did it sell better in the section of the stores, like for instance where they have cookbooks? Who knows? But all that information will give you a little help in knowing really how to redesign your product if necessary. Now, I've got to tell you this. I gave you all this idea about listening, but don't go too quickly. Remember this, that you're going to get a lot of negative feedback as an invention. So if you show people your idea, okay, they're going to, even your friends, some of your friends will be overly supportive and they say, oh, what a great idea. But other people always want to offer you some advice and give you some feedback about, oh, if you did this, what about if you did this? Oh, this is a good idea. Trying to give you some good ideas, at least in their opinion. So, but don't be, so if somebody just says something to you, don't go off the deep end and just start making changes. You have a vision. You want to get multiple choices, but remember that remember if the negative feedback or is changing, just evaluate that against your own vision for the product. Uh, Inventors can really fall to pieces if they listen to every piece of negative feedback. You want to listen to maybe 100 people or 50 people or 20 people and see how many of them have a positive reaction. So first see if there's a positive reaction, they really like it. You don't necessarily have to ask them what would they change. I think when you ask that, you're just asking for people to say stuff. But it doesn't hurt, though. What do you think of the product? And let them say, oh, this is a great product. I like the way it is. Then just wait like 10 seconds or 15 seconds and just wait. And some people will come back and make some of about more positive comments. Other people will come back and make some negative comments. But and then take those and see if you're going to use them. But don't ask them what they think could be improved, because then they're going to give you all this feedback and you won't know what to do with it. Um, if you haven't spent a lot on your money already, don't switch or if you have spent a lot of money, don't switch until you check out how to pump up sales, the training video series that comes after this one. There's a whole series of videos that all talks about selling your product, all the kinds of things that you might want to look at, and really review that and see if you can come up with a plan to really go forward. You should also look at the video series going forward, starting to sell. So um, don't panic too quickly, because you can still do a beachhead with what you have to make sure it sells. Don't, if you've already spent money, don't make too many changes till you've tried a beachhead. And if you haven't been successful there and haven't gotten ahead, then maybe you're going to step back and say, well, maybe I'm going to have to change the design. But don't give in too quickly, especially if you spend like, I mean, you have your patent. I still might be checking on my package design. I still recommend that. But after that, just get in the marketplace and see what people say. Again, be open to comments, but keep your vision. This is very tricky. You don't want to not listen to what people say, because some of them might have some valuable input. But don't get turned around and lose what your vision is. Sometimes it helps to say just exactly and write this down. This is one reason I happen to like patenting, because people express what their vision and what they're trying to do with their product, and it's crystal clear on what they're trying to accomplish. And so then you can say on every particular comment that come up, does this help me make my vision? Does it help me to satisfy what the customer needs? Does it help me really achieve that? Or is this something that's actually going to take away from my vision? You're going to find that at least 80% of the comments or negative comments you get would actually take away from your vision. And so you have to be careful here. The industry insiders are the best ones to listen to, because they'll usually keep their they won't just throw out a comment about, oh, this would be nice if you did this. But when you talk about end user, you have to be very cautious about their comments, because they'll throw out a comment, if they're looking at and they want to say something smart. So they say, well, maybe you should think about doing this. And they're really saying that just so that they want to provide you some input that's helpful. But in a reality, that input's not helpful, and you kind of have to. I mean, don't go and say, "Oh, never mind," or "That's not a good idea." Just say, "Thanks. I'm going to consider that," and then move on. Keep your view of what the product should be like at all times.